Join me as I dive into some of the most terrifying driving encounters that are sure to give us both nightmares. When we think about driving, we often think about the freedom of the open road, the thrill of adventure, and the convenience of getting from point A to point B, but there's a darker side to driving, one that we often try to ignore or push to the back of our minds. The reality is that driving can be a terrifying experience, one that can leave a lasting impact on those involved. One of the most obvious dangers on the road is the reckless driver. We've all encountered them before, the ones who speed, cut us off, and disregard basic road safety. These individuals are a menace, and their actions can have devastating consequences. Then there are the unexpected encounters with wildlife, which can be just as deadly. Imagine driving down a winding road at night, only to come face to face with a deer or elk that's wandered onto the road. The outcome can be catastrophic. But even more sinister are the unforeseen hazards that can turn a routine drive into a nightmare. A blown tire, a burst of flames from the engine, or a sudden loss of control, these are all scenarios that can play out in a matter of seconds, leaving us shaken and frightened. And let's not forget about the weather conditions that can make driving a white-knuckle experience. Imagine driving through a torrential downpour, with visibility near zero, or navigating treacherous roads during a blizzard. The risks are ever-present, and it's only a matter of time before disaster strikes. But for some, that disaster has already struck, leaving them with a lasting fear of driving. I want to share with you some real-life stories of drivers who face terrifying situations on the road. One such story is about a woman who was driving home from work late at night when she encountered a reckless driver who was tailgating her. She tried to speed up, but the driver stayed right behind her, eventually causing her to spin out of control. She was shaken but fortunate to have escaped without injury. Another story is about a man who was driving through the mountains when he came across a massive rock slide that had blocked the entire road. He had to navigate through the wreckage to get to safety, all while dealing with the threat of another slide. His quick thinking and composure under pressure likely saved his life. Then there was the case of a family who was driving on a rural road when they encountered a pack of wild dogs that had wandered onto the road. The kids were terrified as the dogs surrounded the car, barking and snarling. The parents had to think fast to get them to safety. But perhaps the most harrowing story is about a young driver who was involved in a head-on collision with a drunk driver. She was lucky to have survived, but the emotional toll of the accident stayed with her for years. She developed a severe phobia of driving and would often experience flashbacks of the accident. The stories I've shared so far are terrifying, but there's one that stands out as particularly chilling. It's the story of a driver who was driving home from a late-night shift when he came across a car that was stopped in the middle of the road. As he approached, he noticed that the car was empty, but what he saw next would haunt him for the rest of his life. On the side of the road, he saw a figure in a white hoodie, staring back at him with an unblinking gaze. The driver was paralyzed with fear, unable to move or look away. The figure simply stood there, never moving or speaking, but exuding an aura of malevolence. After what felt like an eternity, the driver managed to snap out of his trance and sped away from the scene. He never drove on that road again, and the memory of that encounter still haunts him to this day. As we've seen, driving can be a terrifying experience, one that can be fraught with unexpected dangers and unseen hazards. The road can be unpredictable, and it's only by being vigilant and prepared that we can minimize the risks. So the next time you get behind the wheel, remember the stories I've shared, and always be on the lookout for potential dangers. Thanks for watching, and if you've had a terrifying driving experience, be sure to share it with us in the comments below. And if you want more thrilling content, be sure to check out our other videos. Until next time, stay safe on the roads.